तमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति
Chapter 1, verses 31 to 35. Vivittani ca pashyami viparitani keshava na ca shreyo nupashyami katva svajanamahave na kamshe vijayam Krishna na ca rajyam sukhani ca किं नो राज्येन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा येषामर्थे काङ्क्षितं नो राज्यं भोगा सुखानि च तयिमेव स्थिता युद्धे प्राणान् त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्या विदरपुत्राः तथैव च पितामहाः मातुला श्वशुरा पौत्राः शाला सम्बन्धिनस्तथा एतान् हन्तुमिच्छामि नतोऽपि मधुसूदन अभित्रैलोक्यराज्यस्य हेतो किं नु मयि कृते।
The verses 27-28 where we were discussing. Arjuna said to Krishna, place the chariot in between the two armies so that I can have a clear view of whom I am going to fight. He is very clear. I have to fight. I want to see clearly whom all I am going to fight so that I can plan how to go about it. And what Krishna did, he placed the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. If he had placed the chariot in front of Duryodhana, fight would have started. Gita, we won't be having Bhagavad Gita. Something else we will be having. So there he placed the chariot in front of Bhishma and Dronacharya. Not only he placed the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona, he told him something so vague, he told him something so different, which Arjuna wasn't ready to hear. What did he say? Arjuna said, I want to see the enemies. Krishna said, look at the Kurus assembled here. That's the first indication. Kurus means the common family name of the Kauravas and the Pandavas. It's a common name, it's a common family name, Kurus. Arjuna says, I want to see the enemies. Krishna is saying, where are the enemies? I am not able to see any enemies. I am only seeing your family. The moment Krishna said, it's only the Kurus assembled here, I am not seeing any of your enemies. In a split second, the whole complexion changed. In a split second, the entire complexion changed. He, the son of Kunti, started seeing all these bandhu, kinsmen. Instead of seeing them as, all along he has been brainwashing himself to believe they were enemies. I have to fight. And when he said, these are all your family, instead of seeing them as enemies, he started seeing them as bandhus, kinsmen. The word bandhu comes from the word bandha, attachment. Bandhu means those who are kinsmen, is a very polite way of saying people whom you are attached to. The moment he saw those, what happened? Deep pity. He started feeling a deep pity. Pity arises when the situation is misunderstood. When the situation is misunderstood, pity arises. And pity is a weakness. The emotion pity is a weakness. Because out of pity comes sorrow. Pity leads to sorrow. Pity doesn't lead to right action. Pity doesn't lead to what ought to be done. Pity leads to sorrow, because the starting point of it is bandhu, attachment. Starting point of it is attachment. And what is the quality pity? Pity is an emotion or a wrong understanding of the situation, not understanding the principle of cause and effect. Not understanding the principle of cause and effect, you see a suffering. You see someone suffering. As a human being, you should identify with that suffering and try and see what you can do to remove that suffering. But in and through all that, there has to be a proper understanding, and that understanding gives you the strength to go right till the end. Otherwise, pity is such a superficial emotion, you get carried away by that superficial suffering, do something so instantly, so impulsively. After a while, it starts becoming a burden. Correct. It starts becoming a burden. Then you start feeling, why did I even started helping? Because the starting point of it is seeing the sorrow, seeing the suffering, and getting carried away by it. That is pity. Why Arjuna was feeling the pity here is because he is able to project the suffering, he is able to project the sorrow, he is able to project the suffering. If you have to understand Gita, really you should know how to visualize a battlefield. You should know how to visualize a battlefield. If you understand what the battlefield is, then the whole Gita looks so different. What is the battlefield? See, today there is no direct battle. Somewhere in one place you sit and you press a button, the bomb goes to the other side, and you actually don't see anything at all. Now visualize the battlefield of Arjuna. What is the battlefield like? What is the battlefield like? And those are the crude ways of fighting. There is no bullet, there is no machine gun where you just shoot and the fellow, even before the fellow knows what's happening, he is dead and gone. That's not the way the battle was happening there. One fellow is 40% dying, another fellow is 50% dying, one fellow's hand is cut, one fellow's legs are cut, and he is screaming in pain, and you have to continue as though nothing is happening around you. So the problem is we don't visualize battlefield. If you visualize battlefield, from chapter 2 you cannot read. You will not want to read Krishna again. Because you think how Krishna can support a situation like that. You follow what I am saying? So, Arjuna got into the pity because he has fought so many battles before. The situation, the difference between all other battle and this battle is what? A fellow who is dying 40% is his own friend. A fellow 60% dying is his own relationship, whom he shared so many blissful moments, whom he shared a laughter, whom he played with, and that fellow's hand is cut, leg is cut, and he has to run over them and fight. If you understand the battlefield like that, you will agree with Arjuna. You will not agree with Krishna, because Arjuna looks correct. Arjuna looks correct. If you have to understand why Arjuna has fallen, you should visualize that. Then you will understand. And today we have no idea of that. Today we have not. Today our battlefields and all is the way that we fight battle is completely different. Because the fellow actually doesn't see anything. Okay, simple example. You hit someone with your bare hands. Equal pain comes to you also. Do you know that? No? That's why they hit with you know why they hit with a stick or something? Because you hit someone with a bare hand, that much pain comes to you also. Because your hand will start paining. That's why they take a stick or something where they don't feel the pain. Now in this battlefield, what is this battlefield? You can see the pain, the trauma, the dying man. All that he is asking is for a glass of water. And you can't say, stop the battlefield, let us give a glass of water and make him to die. You can't even say that. You have to. In a flash, in a split second, Arjuna is able to visualize all that. And then he realized, oh my God, those who are going to go through the suffering, he is my own kinsman. The affectation of Arjuna is not because of the killing, because his whole lifetime training is to kill. Number one. Number two, he has been killing for the last, I don't know, when Arjuna came into the battlefield, he should have been around 50, 55. He is not a 20-year-old boy coming into the battlefield, because when he entered the battlefield, he was a grandfather. He was a grandfather already. So, and one of the names of Arjuna is Dhanam Jaya, winner of wealth. How he won the wealth? Not by investing in share market. Yeah, how he won the wealth? By slaughtering. Not just not ordinary things, slaughtering. He was winning wealth. Now, that man who knows what battlefield is, and Krishna said, look at the Kurus assembled here. Such a wonderful, such a twist he gives to the entire Gita. The starting point of the Gita is that. Because 13 long years Arjuna was ready in the forest. They were preparing for battle. In fact, 1 year he did tapas to get the divine astras, not to protect the world, to kill them. But all along he was brainwashing himself to believe they are They are enemies. They are enemies. They have to be killed. They have to be killed. They have to be killed. And Krishna said, let us try peace first. Let us try peace first. Before, see, now he is convincing Arjuna to fight and kill. Same Krishna 3 weeks back, not 3 weeks back in our calendar. In the story, 3 weeks back he went to the Kauravas camp arguing for peace. Why are you fighting? So when he went, they were debating who should go and talk peace. They said, okay, Krishna is a good man to go and talk peace. Go. So as he was leaving, all the Pandavas, Draupadi told Krishna, you are just going for formality. This talk for peace is just a formality. We don't want peace. And Krishna said, I don't know what you are talking. Whatever I do sincerely. I am going to talk. You should. The arguments that he gives for peace is so convincing, and the arguments that he is giving for war is also so convincing. So they told him. Draupadi said, Krishna, please don't show all your skills there. Just talk something, or talk in a way that the war gets confirmed. And that is the talk for peace. He went and spoke. Nobody listened. From the Pandava side, nobody listened. From the Kaurava side, nobody listened. And then they blame Krishna for the battle. And what he did, look at the Kurus assembled. The moment he said Kurus, that verse we have finished. The moment he said Kurus, Arjuna started seeing what all list he gave, no? Brothers, brother-in-laws. 2 minutes back they were all enemies. Now they turned into brothers, brother-in-laws, friends, teachers, father-in-laws. Because the fight is not happening between two. Actually, understand, fight can happen only between enemies. Yeah. Fight can happen only between enemies. Who's an enemy? The enemy is one who was your friend yesterday. You cannot develop enmity directly. You only develop friendship. Something happened in between, the friendship turned into enmity. What Krishna is saying is, now you call them as enemies. No. Who are they? Yesterday. You understand the psychology? Those whom you call your enemies today was your friends yesterday. Because you meet someone, you can't directly become an enemy, no? First you develop friendship. Along with friendship you develop our friendship itself means Sattama sonna I will understand. I can only hear some muttering, but I can't understand what it is. Along with the very friendship itself, identification. Identification irundha fight varadu. Expectation. The very expectation destroys the friendship. The very expectation destroys the friendship. Now, all those whom he is fighting, Arjuna shared so much of good memories about them. That's what Thoreau writes. Henry Thoreau, the American philosopher. After chapter 1, I closed the book, he writes. After Gita chapter, he didn't read chapter 2 and all. He said after chapter 1, close to the book. Emerson also says the same thing. He said, after reading chapter 1, I closed because he said, I closed it. Hands were shivering, trembling. See, for us it will not happen. Don't try. Artificially, you cannot try all this. For us it will not happen because we know the climax already. Since we know the climax already, for them, they do not even know the story, the climax, the background. They don't know so much. So when they read, my God, all the morality, all the ethics and morality known to mankind, Arjuna is going to speak. From now on you should hear. That's why we should not read chapter 1 so deeply. Romba padichalna, you will think Arjuna is correct. Or you have to say, no, this battlefield and all didn't happen. It is a psychological war. You cannot try and visualize it as the actual war because it is an actual war. Try and visualize it like that. All the ethics, all the morals known to mankind, Arjuna speaks. How can you kill your own teacher? How can you be so ungrateful? How can you do this? How can you do that? He speaks so many things. Then he thinks. He said, I closed the book and I was trying to understand what argument Krishna would have given to convince this man to fight. That he cannot imagine. For that you have to be an enlightened. You need to have a very, very powerful intellect to even speculate what Krishna would have said. The starting point of it is where we are now. The starting point of Arjuna's fall. What is the starting point of Arjuna's fall? Deep pity, in sorrow, seeing them as bandhu. Someone is not describing Arjuna's state. He himself is going to describe. From 28, Arjuna actually starts. The second part of verse number 28 is where we have to start from. Arjuna himself is going to describe his state. This verse is an indication of how he fell into this state. How he fell into this state? Deep pity. What is pity? Pity is a wrong. You see a suffering. You see someone suffering. Seeing that suffering, there is an emotion. There is something in you that want to help. It can be impulsively driven, or you will still continue to help with the same intensity with a very deep understanding. If you understand, if you help with the deep understanding, first thing, what? Sorrow will not come. Number 2, you will have the capacity to go right till the end. Otherwise, you start something halfway down the line, it starts becoming a burden, a suffocation. Oh my God, you. Third level is you start fearing that person. Oh my God, hope that person doesn't call me, or hope I don't meet up with that person. All because of what? The starting point is a wrong understanding. What is the wrong understanding? Actually, the word wrong understanding is not correct. Actually, the word wrong understanding is there is no understanding. You have to say that. The right understanding is an understanding of the law, cause and effect. Cause and effect. This man is suffering because he or she has brought it upon himself. That clarity is necessary. Out of that clarity, you can go to any extent to help. That is fine. That is what Krishna is doing. But in and through that, he has this understanding. What is that understanding? The suffering that a person is going through is his own making. His own making, that's all. You can say anything. No sir, it is all because of what? You can argue. You can say because of the political system. You can say because of some drunken man came and hit you. You can give any argument. But the law doesn't change. What is the law? Your suffering, every human being's suffering is brought upon by themselves. When they did it, they didn't know that they are doing it. Now connected with the quotation, Maurice Maeterlinck's. Now connected with the quotation, we have heard that many a times. Maurice Maeterlinck says, happy and blessed are when you see wickedness stands forth revealed as goodness bereft of a guide. That man didn't have proper guidance. Therefore he did something as a result of which he is suffering. Now, having understood this, it gives you a clarity. What is the clarity? What is the clarity? If you have to remove that man's suffering, he has to be guided. He has to be educated. And அதுதான் சார் நாங்கள் பண்ணுறோம். லெக்சர் கொடுக்குறோம் யாரும். That's where we are willing to guide. Discourse after discourse I am giving to everybody, but nobody is listening. That too after the class we are in full form. That's why the other members of the family says, இன்னைக்கு கிளாஸ்க்கு போயிருக்கிறாரு, when he comes back, run away, because next to 2 hours of discourse. Yeah. What is pity? No understanding. What is no understanding? Cause and effect. Every man's suffering, every human being's suffering is brought upon by themselves. That's all. By themselves. There is no other cause. It could be any suffering. It doesn't matter. But at the age of 5, what the child did, sir, terminal disease. All of a sudden, why this person developed? Is there any form of suffering? Is because of one's own making. Having understood this, because of your evolution, you are able to see it clearly. Out of that clarity, you take it upon yourself to help. The most difficult thing in life is to help another, because you need that much strength. It's a marathon. If you want to help another, now please understand, it's a marathon race. It is not just 1 or 2 discourses. It is not just 1 or 2 things and leaving the person. It's a marathon. You need to run with that person till the end. Where is the energy coming from? Where is the capacity coming from? From this understanding. What is the understanding? It is his own making. From my side, I will do what? From my side, I will do what ought to be done. The deeper layer of understanding. Is it okay till now? Now comes the solution part. You can only try and help. Since that person has brought about his suffering, he alone can get rid of it also. This is the complete clarity. Since he has brought his suffering, he alone can get rid of it. Then what is your role? You stand there as an inspiring figure. You stand there as a person of strength. Just the presence itself, that's the teacher. That's the presence of the Guru. That's the presence of the teacher. Just his presence, that's all. It gives you the conviction. What? It is possible for you to. That's what Krishna is doing. For which he has to spend 650 verses. He's saying, I am standing, and what all arguments he gives, right from chapter 2. So many arguments he gives. If you do not have this understanding, the helping will start with pity, ends up in sorrow to both. To whom? The person who attempted to help and the person who is receiving help, both ends up in greater trouble. Which the Upanishad says, blind leading the blind. Which the Upanishad says, the Mundaka calls it as blind leading the blind. One blind man leading another blind man, because both has no understanding of the law. Now visualize, there are two characters. One character, Krishna, has a perfect understanding of what life is all about. On the other side, there is Arjuna. What is the character of Arjuna? What is the character of Arjuna? Emotional. Confused. Correct. Confusion is 30% of the answer. Confused. He is confused. The character of Arjuna is everything he does in life, somehow he wants to fulfill his likes and dislikes. That's his character. Even when he is in contact with the higher, he is going to use the higher for. Even when he is in contact with the higher is used for something lower. That's where Ramana says, you will come to an enlightened master and you will not know what to ask him, he said. You will come to an enlightened master and you will not know what to ask him. You will ask him all the wrong things, he says. You will not know what to ask him. All the wrong things he will ask. What is it? The higher is used for the lower. Using his clarity so that I can get rid of the pinpricks of life. When the pinpricks of life is gone, it's not that he is going to leave the world behind, pursue the higher. What he is going to do? What is he going to do? When the pinpricks of life is gone, what is he going to do? Go back and indulge again. Go back and try and fulfill another set of desires. That is the character of Arjuna. In this character of Arjuna, we can find shades of, here and there you can find shades of ourselves in Arjuna. So here is a man of extraordinary. See, if Arjuna had one bit of wisdom, he would have sat under his feet and learnt about the higher. He would not have wasted time in all these things. Because where are you going to get a man like Where are you going to get a man like him? And all along, people were going to him for what? Using the clarity to solve the pinpricks of life, so that you can get more, so that you can run behind the world with greater force. And the clarity ki I gave whatever ought to be given, I paid also, sir. Appura enna problem ungalku? Now imagine these two people having a conversation. Bhagavad Gita is a conversation, not a one-way discourse. It's a conversation. Arjuna is saying something, Krishna is saying something, and Arjuna is saying, Krishna, I don't agree with what you are. Throughout the 18 chapters, he kept on finding. Arjuna will find new ways of trying to escape the wisdom of Krishna, and Krishna has to come up with something. Always. The higher tries to elevate us, the lower somehow tries to evade. That's the Gita, that's the battle. The higher is trying to elevate, the higher is trying to pull us out, and the lower somehow will find a way to escape, to evade. And what is that escapism? How does the lower evade? What in the poem he calls as unfinished tasks. How the lower evades? How the lower evades the higher? It has unfinished tasks. In that poem, Lidomia, he says it is unfinished task, and everyone has some unfinished task, and they say, let me just finish this. இது முடிச்சிட்டா அப்புறம் பாருங்க. Even for Buddha it took 7 years. For me and all it won't take 7 years. But all that I have to do is what? Just finish this unfinished. That man has no clarity about what life is all about, and he is trying to help. Others. What help he can do? He is going down. Not only he is going down, he takes the entire group. That's the word. Filled with deep pity, uttered this in utter sorrow. Filled with deep pity. Deep pity. What is the deep pity? Where the pity came from all of a sudden? Because he was able to visualize the battlefield. Even today they do that. You know that, no? In the army they give numbers. They don't address people by name. When they go for battle, they give them numbers. So in the board they will write number 42, number 88, number 152 died. See, when you see that number, nothing gets evoked in you. Supposing if the names are written, and if you see that name, what will happen? Suddenly you will start feeling what? Suddenly you will start feeling he was your friend, and he left some family behind, so many things. You actually start thinking it's not worth fighting. Battle stops, and then you lose. Therefore what they do, even today they do that. They give numbers. Who knows that? Anybody in the army? They give numbers, no? Correct, Dana? They give numbers. They don't say names. Because if you see a name, something happens in you. And if you see number, what difference does it make? filled with deep pity, uttered in sorrow. Uttered this in sorrow. Pity arises when the law of cause and effect is not understood. The arrogance of helping comes again when you don't understand the law of cause and effect. The arrogance of helping comes when you don't understand the law of cause and effect, where you actually think you can actually help. Since that man has brought about his suffering, he alone can remove. Then what is your role? A very close example that explains this is in the chemical reactions. There is something called a catalyst. There is something called catalyst. Yeah. Two atoms of hydrogen combines with one atom of oxygen to form a molecule of water. Now wherever you combine, you take hydrogen, oxygen, it will not turn into water because you need electricity, and electricity is a catalyst. And a catalyst is that which doesn't participate in the reaction. It doesn't do anything to the reaction. It doesn't affect the outcome in any way. But without that, reactions cannot happen. It's called catalyst. Electricity is the catalyst. Yeah. And you touch water, you don't get a shock, no? Electricity is the catalyst. Therefore, you understand. What do you understand? You help. In and through your help, again the same clarity comes. What is the clarity? You function like a catalyst. Again it is the responsibility of the other person. You know how to help. Sorrow is because of the pity. Bandhu means excessive attachment. The word bandhu means ordinary translation is bandhu means relationship, kinsman. Bandhu comes from the root word bandha. Bandha means that which binds, that which ties you down. That is bandhu. So bandhu na, those who are the bandhus, what the bandhus do to you? They pull you down. That's meaning. The language is like that. Now what do I do? Bandhus are those who, that's why it's called sambandha. Clear? Very loosely, they say no. Yaar venkattadu? Yaar? Sambandhiya. Sambandhiya means, and they are ready to kill, and they are ready to kill each other. Good association. Bandha means attachment. The word sam means good. It is supposed to be good, but ultimately turns out to be bad. Other different. That is because of the nature of the egos that is entering into the relationship. Bandha means that which binds, that which bonds, that which pulls you down. Sambandha. Clear? From the enemies, when Krishna said, look at the Kurus assembled here, he started seeing them as bandhas. The moment he saw them as kinsmen, relatives, pity came. Kripaya, the Sanskrit word kripa means pity. One word for God is Kripanidhi. The word, one God is known as Kripanidhi, Dayanidhi. இன்னொரு வார்த்தை சொல்லக்கூடாது இல்லையா? நாளைக்கு எலெக்ஷன் வச்சுன்னு சொல்லக்கூடாது, அது பேண்ட் அது இல்லையா? கருணாநிதி. All this means emotion backed by proper understanding. Nidhi means abundance. They have this karuna in abundance. To have it in abundance, that much of depth you should have in you. Then only you will have something in abundance. If you have to give, first thing is you should have. Understand this. If you have to give, first thing is you should have. Second condition is not just having, you should have it in abundance. And it is that abundance that drives that gives that endless energy to giving. First of all, you don't think you have enough only. Or whatever you think you have, you say, abundance konjam da irukku, adile maybe little bit I will share. Adu kuda under certain TNC apply appo kuda. Here he says in abundance. In abundance. Krishna has it in abundance. Therefore he is saying, with all love and affection, kill them, Arjuna. Instead of hatred driving the killing, kill them with. How can you kill someone with love and affection? The word bandhu indicates Arjuna's wrong approach to the situation. The word bandhu itself is an indication where it is indicative of Krishna's wrong approach to the situation. Because battlefield is not the place where to see them as relatives and friends. Battlefield is not the place where you see them as relatives and friends. Again, he has a wrong understanding. What is the wrong understanding? Every field of activity has its own dharma. You should understand that. Every field of activity has its own dharma. You can't keep switching and changing. Every field has its own dharma. That dharma that is applicable in the battlefield is not the dharma that is applicable, because every field of activity has its own dharma. That's where, if you don't understand this, I'll give you a simple example, it becomes easy. You leave a 100 rupee note. You leave a 100 rupee note. Someone, the watchman, the security, the ironman walks into the house, sees that, he quietly pockets, walks away. Next. Okay, I'll give myself as an example. Where are you solla mudiyadhu illaya? Because I can talk about myself. You invite me to your house and you leave the 100 rupee note there. I quietly put it in my pocket and I also leave. Action wise it is the same. Action wise it is the same. But is it the same? Is it the same? Action wise it is the same. Now, if you have to punish that person, will you punish him for that action or you will punish him for his? What will you punish him for? If you punish him for the action, everybody who does that must be given the same punishment. Correct? Huh? But to the iron man you will say, hey, if you would ask me, no. If I do that, If I do that, you too are correct. You too. That's what. It's not the same. Are you able to follow? When a man pickpocket, they give him a warning and if I do that, you can't warn me and say, okay, no. It is completely different. What makes the difference? What brings in the difference? What brings in the difference? The difference is because of two different levels. That's what he is saying. Every field has its own dharma. It is not the same. You understand? Arjuna didn't understand that. He had no concept of the dharma. He had no concept of what that field of activity is. What is that field of activity now he is engaged in? Battlefield. In that battlefield, there are only two things. What? In that battlefield, there are only two things. Kill or get killed. That's all. You get into battlefield, there are only two possibilities. Kill or get killed. If you kill, you will win the kingdom. If you get killed, you will go to Veera Swarga, he says. Even then, what is the right understanding? That field demands that you need to do that. The wrong approach is people get mixed up. And when you get mixed up, what happens? When you get mixed up, what happens? Where you should not sympathize, you will sympathize. Where you should sympathize, you will make a mincemeat of that. All arises because of wrong approach. Distorted vision, he says. It's a distorted vision. I'm spending so much of time on Arjuna is because this individual is going to describe what all he thinks. He is going to describe. So before you get into that, try and keep that visualization for a while. Till at least Arjuna concludes his talk. Try and visualize, try and keep the vision alive. What is the vision? Battle. The battle. And then if you look at life, it's the same battlefield. Only thing is physically there is no physical injury, that's all. But the same battle. What is the battle? What is the battle of life? What is the battle of life? Either you win or when somebody runs over you, you can't blame and say world is injustice, world is corrupt, world is bad, you can't say that because you have been having come into life, having living, you relaxed on something that you should not have relaxed. As a living entity, you relaxed on something that you should not relax. What is that? As a living entity, you are supposed to keep evolving constantly. The vision on evolution is supposed to have been there right through. Whenever you relax on this, whatever be the circumstance that makes you to relax, doesn't matter. If you relax on this, you pay the price. What is the price? Sorrow and suffering. Sorrow and suffering is the price. This is the background of Arjuna. Yes, Subramanian. Yes. Correct. Yes. Yes. See, what we don't see the cause and effect, because to see the cause and effect you should be above that. For example, a simple example I'll give you. Even today there are certain tribal cultures where they don't understand the cause and effect correlation between childbirth, because the union happens 9 months back, the child comes, the union happened 10 months and the child comes, so such a long time gap, they don't see the cause and effect. They actually think what? They actually think, I don't know what all they think, but they have missed on the cause and effect. From this example, what do you understand? To see the cause, you should be able to position yourself before that. Then only you can see the cause and effect. Otherwise you can't see the cause and effect. Are you able to follow what I am saying? If you have to see the cause and effect, you should be able to penetrate enough to understand that point before that. But invariably what happens is, we only see the effect, we experience the effect, and do not have the penetrating capacity to position ourselves at that point of time before the whole thing started. Another example, personal example I will give you. There. And she is sitting here also. There. On the day we were getting married, so boring, no? You have to stand there, one after the other will come. You have to say, come, go, eat. Did you eat? Did you don't? Adalna. So boring all that is. So I said, at some point of time we met. You understand? There was a point of time where we met. Before that, you lived for 24 years, I lived for 29 years. Blissfully happy. Always remember that point, I said. Always remember. If only you can remember that point, the entire relationship will be alright. But somewhere down the line what happens? We miss that point. What is that point? That 1 second before the, I am just trying to figuratively say that. If only you can position yourself before that actual cause is, you can see the cause and the effect. Now we are working backwards. We are experiencing the effect, number 1. Number 2, deeper than that is, the effect that we are experiencing is excruciatingly painful, traumatic. Not only experiencing the effect, that effect is very painful. And we are trying to, what we are trying to do? We are trying to project a cause. Most of the time we end up connecting it wrongly. That's what in the Fall of Human Intellect he says, the first level of the intellect awakening is correlating cause and effect wrongly, which is superstition. Now you work backwards. All the time we see the effect that is not favorable to us. You see that person, how he will be trying to solve it by some superstitious method. You see the effect, and they will try to solve it by some temple they will go, something do, or go there and do something, or write something for. All this is correlating cause and effect wrong. You follow? It is the intellect, that penetrating capacity that that places you at a higher level. From that higher level you can see the cause and the effect. Not now. Third difficulty is the man who understands this cause and effect, if he says this is the cause, we cannot agree, we cannot accept, because we cannot agree. We have to say what? You don't know, sir. Maybe I didn't give you the full facts, but then you cannot accept the proper cause, the right cause. You follow what I am saying? Therefore, if you have to understand cause and effect, you need that penetrating capacity. And that penetrating capacity is what intellect is all about. Intellect is that penetrating capacity. You see the seed, you understand the tree, no? That's penetrating capacity. Actually you have not seen anything. All that you have on hand is the seed. You look at the seed, you understand the tree. That's penetrating capacity. So to understand cause and effect, to correlate you see the effect, and to correlate it to the right cause, you need clarity, penetrating. What does that penetrating capacity means? The ability to, you are slightly about it. Then only you can see the cause and effect.
Early stage of understanding, should we take the law as a teaching principle in a condition?
Say that again. I didn't hear.
The early stage of understanding is cause and effect.
Yes.
We should take it as a law from the scripture. Get the condition to start reading that.
Correct. It's a law. It's a law. You have to. It's a law. You have to take that conviction from the scriptures. You have to take that. That's where he says, Tasmat Shastram Pramanante. Let Shastras be your Tasmat. Therefore, in the Gita, he said, let Shastras be the authority. And the difficulty is, whole problem is with what is a scripture? How do you understand something as a scripture? I can't base it on some grandmother of mine said this is the scripture. No. I can't base it on somebody who has heard. Therefore, what is a scripture? What are scriptures? What are scriptures? Sayings of an enlightened master. That's a scripture. You follow that, no? What is a scripture? A scripture is that an authoritative saying. Why it is an authoritative saying? Because it comes from the man who has understood. Therefore, in the initial stages, you need to rely on the authority of the scripture. But it will not help you. It will not help you, because when one part of you is trying to rely on the authority, another part in you will rebel against it. You follow what I am saying? When one part in you will try to take that as an authority, the other part in you will rebel against it. Therefore, right through till you develop a very sufficient level of clarity, right through, the method is only one: study and reflection. At your level, whatever your intellect says, you need to follow. You need to follow that at your level. That's the only way. I can take it as an authority, But what happens is, after 10 minutes, after half an hour, after 2 days, what happens? My mind starts taking over. Therefore, how does one understand this law? Constantly try to reflect on this. If you have a situation that you need to understand, use your existing intellect and understand it at your level. How the higher will see, you can always understand. But then you can only follow, you cannot follow another intellect. You can only follow, you can only follow yours. You cannot follow, you cannot follow others. You can follow. But then what will happen? Somewhere down the line, your real personality will start asserting itself. Or the very following itself will be so mechanical. The very following itself becomes so mechanical. In the sense, I can dress like a Buddha, I can talk like a Buddha, I can walk like a Buddha, I can sit in the same position that he sits, find out his breakfast, lunch and dinner menu and follow the same thing. But nothing changes inside of me. Or I can even cut a branch from the Bodhi tree and have a huge tree in my garden and sit under that tree also. But nothing changes. Why? Because you can follow that which your conviction says. You can follow that which your conviction says. Conviction is that which arises out of study and reflection. Conviction is that which arises out of a deep study and reflection. Conviction means unwavering, no doubts. What is the definition of a conviction? Conviction means not wavering. There is no doubts. Then only it is a conviction. Otherwise, as I am doing, one part in me says, is it the hope I am doing the right thing? Hope I am doing the right thing. And then you have to call and ask also. You are very sure, no, I am doing the right thing. And the man who is not sure, he says, yeah, you are doing the right thing. What happens? Therefore, ultimately speaking, you need to follow your conviction. All that you need to understand is what? Your conviction is not 100% complete. That's where you turn into a student. Otherwise, you develop a conviction and you stay put with that, thinking that that's all it is. It's not that. As you understand this is your conviction, you also understand what? There are still levels to reach. Invariably, people who develop a conviction, they stop this side of it. They stop this side of it. They say, that's all. Now I don't need to do anything, because I already developed the conviction. And that after a while, they realize that this conviction has not taken them anywhere, because the other side, what is the other side? The conviction that I have now is at this level, but this is not the level. I need to reach higher levels. Therefore, I follow my conviction. At the same time, I am open to study and reflection, as a result of which I keep evolving. That's how you grow. Two things. One is, you follow your conviction at your level. At the same time, you need to understand what? Your understanding is not yet complete. Therefore, you keep to the you keep to the enquiry part. Actually, it is the enquiry part that helps you to grow. Surya, is it okay? You had something, sir? Yeah. Yes. 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 Now, what happens is two things. One is the changing aspects in life. In and through the change, there is something that is not changing. For example, 25 years back, 50 years back, the word divorce is a very bad word. If something happens like that, the whole family feels let down. 25 years back. Today, it's okay. It didn't work for them, so they decided to move on in life. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Now, there are certain things that keeps changing. 50 years back, the father walks in, all the children will get up. You have to. When the father walks in, you have to get up and troop out. Today, you get up, no? At least I get up. Yeah, I get up at least. Yeah. As I am walking in, she will tell me, going there, no, leave the plate in the sink and go. And what I teach, I am teaching about Maya, illusions, intrinsic, extrinsic, all that. And I go home. She says, leave the plate. I also take the plate and leave it in the sink. It's not that. 50 years back, 100 years back, fathers were all terrorists. And today only fathers were all loving. You cannot say that. It keeps. So, there are certain aspects of life that keeps changing, which you cannot keep it stagnant. It's not possible. It keeps changing. In and through the changes, there are certain things that doesn't change. That is the clarity that the intellect gives you, Vedanta gives you. What are the things that doesn't change? What are the things that changes? Number one. Number two, who decides that? Here comes actual. Who decides that? Someone can't decide that, and I have to force it on me. Therefore, who decides the change? The individual decides. When the individual decides, he takes responsibility for the decision. As a result of which he remains. As a result of which, what happens? The moment you take responsibility, what happens? The moment you take responsibility, what happens? You become free. I do a mistake. The moment I take responsibility and I can say, yes, I did it. Now I become free. More I try to prove that I didn't do. More I try to prove that somehow I was forced to do. I am getting deeper and deeper. You follow what I am saying? More I am getting deeper and deeper into it. Therefore, what is the scripture says? Changes is a fact. Changes is a fact. You cannot avoid that. But then, in and through the changes, there are certain things that cannot be changed. What are those factors that should remain unchanged in and through the changes? Nobody from outside can fix it for you or for me. Everyone has to fix it for themselves. You follow? In that sense, he has a better understanding. Otherwise, if not, I have to rely on the authority of someone. And I cannot rely on the authority because it's not that there is something wrong with the authority. My mind is not stable enough to follow something. That's all. There's nothing wrong with the authority, because what is the mind? Here you need understanding of what the mind is. What the mind is? What is the human mind? In this context, one part of you, one part in you will like it. The other part in you will hate the very same thing that you like. That's where it's so complicated. If he can wholly hate, there's no problem. If he can wholly love, there's no problem. But the mind is that mechanism where it always says what? Something you like, something don't like. In the very same entity, not in two different entities. Like you buy a car, you can't say it's a perfect car. You have to say what? These are all the good things in that car. But in the rendu mattum illana, this is the perfect car. You associate that person. This person is very good. Arundan is very good. But he talks very slowly. And he doesn't have a very you understand that. One thing you like, one thing you do not like. In the very same object, in the very same being, comes from a fundamental misunderstanding. What is the misunderstanding? Mira, you know that, no? Every choice that you make is a... Who said that? Badri. Carla, Munade, I release what all I am going to talk. I release. Question paper release actor. Every choice that you make is a package. Something of it you like, something of it you will not like. Nevertheless, it is the having made the choice, that's what you can. But the mind always try to say what? Keep that which you like and try and get rid of that which you don't like. If you try and get rid of that which you don't like, invariably you have to get rid of it that which you like also, because it is part and parcel of the you understand that, you rise above likes and dislikes. It's not very complicated, very easy. Yeah. Because if you try and get rid of it, you have to try and get rid of it that which you have to try and get rid of the portion that you like also, because both is part and parcel of the same. The moment you understand that responsibility you take. What? Every choice I make is a package. Here comes the problem, actual problem. It is impossible to understand the entire contents of the package. It's impossible unless you have a strong clarity. Here comes the actual trouble. So you have to make a choice, not knowing the not knowing the full package, every now and then you will get a shock. What? Boom. This I didn't. So this I didn't ask for. Oh, this I didn't ask for. This I didn't ask for. The mirror is broken. You take it to the garage. The fellow says, whole set of 25,000 rupees. I wasn't ready. You understand? If you have the strong clarity, you can know the text. As a practice, what you can do, before making a choice, you can try and what are the contents? That's why they say read reviews, no? Yeah, they say read reviews. No? In that, what do they do in that? They analyze the package and they tell you this is what it is, and then you have to make a choice. But இதெல்லாம் இல்லாம இதை மாற்ற முடியுமான்னா it is not possible, because it's part and parcel. This is the cause and effect. The choice is the cause. The effect is you experiencing parts of the package. Cause and effect. You follow what I am saying? The choice is, the cause is, again I read. The cause is the choice that you make. The effect is, every now and then you will experience contents of the package. Something you will like, something you will not like. Something you can appreciate, something you will not appreciate. Nevertheless, there is no package which is Subramanian. There is no package that will entirely satisfy you or dissatisfy you. It is not possible. It is not possible. The law of thermodynamics, the first law. What is the first law of thermodynamics? Who has studied thermodynamics? 100% efficient engine cannot be made. That's the first law. 100% efficient engine cannot be made. It means what? It means there will be a loss. At the most you can try and aspire to reach closer to that 100. Just because you are aspiring to reach to that 100 doesn't mean it will become 100. Vedanta says there is a different way. You rise above the very necessity to make the choice itself. You rise above the very necessity of likes and dislikes itself. What happens there? You have a perfect understanding of what life is, because you are seeing it from a higher point. Just as the African tribal community cannot understand the time gap, because the union happens 10 months back, the child is born, so there is a gap, that time between the cause and the effect. There is the time which you cannot physically see, but through intellect you can understand. That's why it's called Jnana Chakshu, the eye of wisdom, the third eye. It's called Jnana Chakshu, the eye of wisdom, the third eye, because you cannot see it, but you can only understand. Is it okay, sir? Arjuna got into the battlefield with full of clarity to fight, seeing them as bandhus, got confused. Out of confusion, he decides not to he decides not to fight. That's why when you are confused, you should not take any decision. When you are confused, you should not take any decision. But all the time confused, now what to do? Yeah, but எப்போ பார்த்தாலும் ஒரே confusion இருந்தா what to do? Yeah. Fortunately, he asked, what should I do? I am confused. I don't know. What should I do? And when Krishna said, this is what you should do, but 18 chapters Arjuna kept on saying, but Krishna, meaning what? Agree with me. Arjuna was trying to make Krishna agree with him, and you should see that what all arguments he gives, what all he comes up with to try and make Krishna agree with his decision, and Krishna always finds a new way to. 18th chapter he got so fed up, he said, no, it's useless talking to this man, might as well do what he says. He gets up to fight. சரியா? இல்ல பாருங்க.